Whoa, what on earth has just happened? Listen, the US of A has launched airstrikes against Iran, more specifically Tehran, because they accuse them of downing a military helicopter. Now that sounds like it makes sense, right? But here's the caveat. Iran says they did not down the military helicopter and had not done anything to the US. Let's get into this. This is breaking news. I'm reading it from AP News through Yahoo News. You should read along and let me know down below. Are you surprised that the ceasefire did not last as long as they proposed that it would? Now, I want you to listen because this is coming in from Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. The U.S. Embassy, or I should say the U.S. military, excuse my language, launched airstrikes, and Iran retaliated Wednesday following the crash of an army helicopter near none other than the Strait of Hormuz. You know, the strait that hosts 20% of the world's oil, where everybody has been talking about going down there to potentially fight and protect the Strait of Hormuz, including the United Kingdom and America working together. But Spain and France said, we're probably not going to join you in that. Yes, that Strait of Hormuz. Now, President Donald Trump blamed the helicopter going down on the Islamic Republic in Iran. But Iran launched attacks in Bahrain and Kuwait, which both sounded alerts and fired air defenses in response. Iran also said it targeted an airbase in Jordan, hosting U.S. forces, which was not immediately acknowledged either by American or Jordanian officials. So they're like, we don't really want to talk about the fact that Iran is able to hit everybody at the same time. It's a little bit embarrassing. Let's just leave that off the table and wait a minute, get our gears together, figure out what's going on. It seems like they're in a daze in the Middle East because they're like, how they just knocked down the helicopter? They shot at this military base that's in Jordan. Like, too much is happening at one time. Of course, since the United States started the strikes with Israel to hit Iran on February 28th, the war has shaken the global economy, driven up oil prices like crazy. But if you're invested in oil, it's a really great time, right? And the world and everybody in it is experiencing higher food levels, higher costs of living, especially if you are in the West. Now, officials have been unable, again, I'm reading from AP News, okay? Officials have been unable to turn the April ceasefire into a deal to permanently end the conflict. No shocker there. Fighter jets from the U.S. Air Force and the Navy conducted the strikes in Iran, and the U.S. Military Central Command said targeting air defense, ground control stations, and surveillance radar sites. Iran acknowledged the strikes around Bandar Abbas and Qasem Island, but gave no details on the damage. So it seems like both sides are like, I don't want to admit any pain or detriment or any destruction that the other side caused. That can be a little bit of pride. And look, we understand in times of war, you don't want to show everybody what's happening. We will probably never know for another 20 to 40 years when there's some kind of war documentary coming out when I'm like 40, 50 years old, and they're like, hey, this is what really happened with that Iran, Israel, American World War III situation. But according to AP News, they're saying the operation was a proportional response to recent attacks on U.S. forces and international commercial ships transiting regional waters. Shout out to the Central Command for giving us that information. Trump said earlier in a social media post that Iran had shut down the aircraft while it was on patrol over the strait and declared the U.S. must of necessity respond to this attack. So they shot down the aircraft, and a couple of hours later, America hit back. But Iran's top diplomat said foreign military forces are near its territory, are, of course, at constant risk. So they're like, we are in a time of war. If you come near our territory, near the Strait of Hormuz, you are going to be at constant risk, okay? These are not hush-hush, peace times. Then, of course, Iran later vowed that there would be another response to the attacks that America just did a couple of hours ago. And so if you are an expat, a retiree, an entrepreneur, somebody that flies internationally, lives internationally, here's my advice to you. Do not be anywhere near the Middle East right now, okay? Do not be in Dubai. Do not be in Kuwait. Do not be in Jordan. And you should even be careful of being in Egypt. This region, quite literally, for the entire year, just 2026, the entire year of 2026, do not be in those regions. This is why places like Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar have these 10-year permits. They're making it easier than ever for expats, freelancers, and entrepreneurs to come. But it's not exactly safe. So they're like, we really need people, because in times of war, I mean, I think you remember last time, if you were paying attention, what it looks like when the diaspora was in Dubai at the wrong time. People were trapped. They're trying to call taxis, get to the border of Saudi Arabia. I mean, it is just a hot mess. This is why it is so important, and why we always tell people, by the way, if you've tuned in and we're at the 5-minute 46-second mark, you should hit the like button. You should subscribe to the channel. I think it's not too difficult. I'll give you like 5 seconds to do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. I appreciate it so much, because I know that you come back and watch this channel. I don't know why you didn't subscribe, but hey, I get it. Sometimes I watch channels and I'm like, oh, I watch this like all the time. I'll even search for the channel and then I forget to subscribe. So, it's a common mistake. It's all right. Now that you subscribed, it's cool. Okay. If you are an expat, you know that we tell you, find neutral territory. And unfortunately, across the world, neutral territory is becoming more narrow, because remember, 30 U.S. embassy closures in Africa, meaning there are only 20 active U.S. embassies in Africa. So basically, there's only 20 countries that you should be in as an American, because I personally will not travel to a country that does not have a U.S. embassy. I'm a U.S. passport holder. I'm not the most patriotic person on planet Earth, but I'm also not foolish. If something happens, it's the embassy that's most likely going to help you in that situation, especially if you lose your passport. Because if you lose your passport, only that U.S. embassy can take care of that, okay? Nobody else in anybody's country can do that. So if you want a reminder of those safe countries in Africa that still have a U.S. embassy, are actively investing in their embassies, they are none other than Mauritius, Tanzania, Kenya, Ghana, Rwanda, Senegal, Ghana, and a few others, but those are like the top favorites. South Africa, of course, Congo, of course, as well. But across North Africa, it's looking pretty bad. There's no more U.S. embassies basically in North Africa. Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, and Mozambique were also hit pretty bad, as well as, unfortunately, Madagascar, okay? Now, unfortunately for the global economy, Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi said on X, "Leave our region if you want to be safe, because we will leave no attack or threat unanswered." So, he said it. Leave the region, go to Africa. You could be in Southern Europe if you want. You could be in South Asia if you want. You could be anywhere that you want to be, but just don't be in the Middle East, I beg you. He's telling you, just don't do it. Now they're saying the U.S. helicopter collided with the Iranian drone. The Army AH-64 Apache attack helicopter went down after colliding with an Iranian drone, according to a U.S. official who spoke on a condition of anonymity to discuss an ongoing investigation. So there's a lot happening within the U.S. government and military right now with, I don't know if you remember the guy Joe from earlier this year, months and months ago, coming out saying the war was not something that should have taken place because Iran never did anything to America. Well, they fired him. We never heard from him again. Who knows how Joe is doing, okay? Nobody knows. We all forgot about him. Then you have this person coming out anonymously saying that they didn't technically strike it. So they're coming out saying basically Iran is telling the truth. It's just an Iranian drone that collided with the helicopter, and it wasn't missiles that struck the helicopter. So it seems like there's some twisting in the media once again. But I don't know. I'm very much neutral. I'm very much neutral. Just at the end of the day, I'm very much a free, independent thinker. But I want to know what you think. Is the U.S. twisting things to make Iran the bad guy so they can go in and just annihilate everybody else that is in the region? Or is Iran twisting things and Iran is the bad guy and Iran is the one that is doing all of this chaos to the Middle East? I want to hear what you think, because you may say, well, they didn't have to strike Dubai and Kuwait and Saudi Arabia and everybody out there. They didn't have to strike Jordan. Then on the other side, Israel's like, hey, They might have struck Jordan. They might have struck the allies of America because they want to make it seem like Iran did it. It's just a lot of confusion, but I don't like to be confused, and neither should you. Visit www.journeywithusmove-to-africa.com/services to learn more about your geopolitical strategy and global mobility. Talk to you next time. Shalom, shalom.